The process of fertilization, conception, and fetal development begins right after a man ejaculates. Sperm is released into the vagina and begins a long journey toward the egg. First, the sperm must swim through the entire length of the vagina to reach the cervix. If the cervix is open and the cervical mucus is favorable, healthy sperm can pass through and move deeper into the woman's body. At the cervix, the first major challenge appears: the mucus layer and the woman's immune system. The immune system here mobilizes white blood cells to attack and destroy weak or abnormal sperm. Out of the roughly 300 million sperm ejaculated, the vast majority are eliminated at this stage. Only the strongest warrior sperm can make it through to the uterine cavity, commonly known as the womb. Inside the uterus, the sperm split into two directions, toward the two fallopian tubes. They continue swimming along the length of the uterus, heading toward both fallopian tubes. However, only one of the tubes actually contains a released egg. Sperm that take the wrong path will never meet the egg and will eventually die. Meanwhile, the sperm that choose the right path keep swimming deeper into the fallopian tube to reach the egg, the princess that all of them are seeking. At the site of ovulation, the sperm face another barrier: tiny hair-like cells, cilia, and microvilli lining the fallopian tube. At this point, the egg is already waiting. Among the tens of millions of sperm that approach, only the strongest, fastest one with the right enzymes can break through the egg's protective membrane and enter inside. Once a single sperm penetrates the egg's membrane immediately changes its electrical charge from negative to positive to prevent any other sperm from entering. This is nature's way of ensuring that only one sperm fertilizes the egg. Since sperm are positively charged and the egg is negatively charged, they are attracted to each other. But once the egg's polarity changes, it repels the other sperm like magnets with the same charge. Inside the egg, the sperm sheds its tail, and the nucleus, carrying its genetic material, merges with the egg's nucleus. This is the official moment of fertilization, forming a single-cell zygote. The zygote begins to divide. One cell becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become 8, then 16, 32, 64, and so on. The fertilized egg cannot move by itself, but it is slowly pushed by the cilia in the fallopian tube toward the uterus. This journey takes about 7 days. By the time it reaches the uterus, the embryo has become a multi-layered cluster of cells. It then breaks out of its protective shell and starts digging into the uterine lining to implant itself. Once implantation is successful, the cell mass begins to grow roots, which are actually the forming placenta. The placenta will develop into a dense network of blood vessels, anchoring firmly to the uterine wall to draw nutrients from the mother's blood. At the same time, embryonic cells begin to divide into distinct layers to form the first major organs. From a 2-layered embryo, it evolves into a 3-layered embryo. During this phase, the first bodily structures start to emerge: the spinal cord, blood cells, nervous system, and heart. This is when the tiny heart begins to beat. At this stage, around 5 to 6 weeks of pregnancy, the embryo has a long tail, making it resemble a seahorse, hinting at the evolutionary origins of humans. A beating heart means the circulatory system is now functioning. The baby's blood is separate from the mother's. The placenta serves as a middleman, transferring nutrients and waste. At this point, the fetus resembles a tiny lizard with a large head, long tail, and neck folds that look like fish gills. Facial features start to form: the eyes, nose, and mouth. Initially faint, these features gradually become more distinct. Arm and leg buds appear. The baby's skin has no pigment yet, so you can see through it. Internal organs such as the lungs, liver, and stomach also begin to develop. Arms develop first, followed by legs and thighs. The baby's head starts to project forward, the eyes move toward the center of the face, and the nose and mouth come forward too, forming a recognizable human face. The upper arm, forearm, and hands take shape. The inner and middle ears develop first, followed later by the outer ear. Eyelids start to form, and the eyes can begin to close. Pigmentation appears on the skin, making the internal organs no longer visible. At this point, small movements such as finger flexing and leg stretching begin. The nervous system is developing rapidly. This is a golden period for brain and spinal cord formation. The number of nerve cells increases dramatically, reaching an astonishing total: about 100 billion neurons and 900 billion glial cells. Neurons begin forming axons and dendrites, connecting with each other through synapses. Thanks to these connections, nerve signals can be transmitted, and the fetus can start to make its first movements. Any damage or negative influence during this stage, especially from alcohol, drugs, or chemicals, can seriously impact the baby's future physical and intellectual development. That's why it's often said that a baby's intelligence is largely determined during pregnancy, particularly in the first trimester. As the nervous system becomes functional, the fetus begins to show reflexes: kicking, hiccuping, sucking its thumb, or even playing with the umbilical cord. Some babies play so much that the cord gets wrapped around their neck once or twice. All these behaviors indicate a normally developing healthy baby who's already playing even before birth.